Hello and welcome to Death is My Life podcast. I'm your host, Jolene, and we have a very special guest for you today. So, can you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Okay, so my name is Akhila Murphy. I'm a trained end-of-life doula, and I live in Northern California. I'm in Chico. I'm the founding director of Full Circle of Living and Dying, which is a 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization. And our organization consists of all volunteers. So we have two teams. We've got a team in Chico with I think 12 volunteers, and then in Nevada County, there's 12 volunteers, and in Chico,
Mhm.
I've got 6 volunteers.
Amazing. What
Yeah.
do your volunteers do?
Well, lots of things. I could talk for a long time about that. Maybe you want to know what end of life doulas do.
Yes, sorry, let's start there.
Okay. Okay. So all of our volunteers are trained
Mhm.
or experienced end of life doulas. So they have either taken some training, or they have taken training courses, or they have some kind of a background. Like we have a few nurses that are on our team, or
Mhm.
we have people who've spent a lot of their life caring for their loved ones who've been dying.
Mhm.
So our volunteers on our team have some experience in training.
Mhm.
Our organization's kind of rare in that way. There's not a lot of organizations of end of life doulas. There's a lot of independent doulas working, which is great. And it's growing and growing over the years. My organization started in 2013. And so we've seen a lot of changes and growth in the area of end of life doula work. So some of the things about an end of life doula were different than hospice. So, hospice takes care of the medical aspect of a person who has a terminal diagnosis and has agreed to receive hospice care. End of life doulas come in and do the work of sitting and talking with families. A lot of our work is creating an end of life plan of care. So, and the way this works is we often meet with clients in their home, maybe with family members or loved ones or their
Mhm.
special people, and talk about what their wishes are for end of life. It's important to document the things that you
Mhm.
want so that it's understood after you die or when you're in the dying process. People know exactly how to take care of you, what your well, they call it disposition, where you want your body to go at cremation or burial, those things. We also help people learn about post-death care in the home. So some people don't even really realize that it's legal for you to die at home. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's surprising how many people think that you have to be in a hospital to die, but it's legal. It's perfectly legal for you to die at home. And you can actually stay at home for a time after death and
Mhm.
have something that's called like an in-home wake.
Mhm.
And that's where people can have ceremony. You can create your own ceremony of washing the body, creating sacred space in the room, bringing in special readings or maybe spiritual practice, or just having visitors actually come in. It's like a wake, but it's in the home, and visitors can come.
Mhm.
And life doulas help educate folks on how to do this. That's a
Mhm.
big part of our organization, is totally educational.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And we can also help them at end of life, showing them how to do the process of washing the body, of preserving the body with ice packs. If you're going to keep
Mhm.
someone in the home for, more than 24 hours, sometimes people
Mhm.
do like a 3-day week. And
Mhm.
this is it's an amazing way to be able to hang on to the loved one for a little longer. Sometimes people need to come and visit from other areas. They're going to take time to travel.
Mhm.
They want to come and say their final goodbyes. So it's nice to be able to have that option. Well, I think that's a start. I can probably get
Yeah.
into more. examples and things, but it's kind of a start of what end of life doulas do. And like I say, there's a lot of doulas working independently all around the country, in the world. So wherever you're hearing this, you can do a Google search and you can come up with
Cool.
organizations that might have a directory to end of life doulas. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you don't conflict with hospice, right? You doulas work with hospice or parallel
Absolutely.
too, right?
Absolutely. We definitely work alongside hospice. We get friendly with our local hospices so that they know that they
Mhm.
can refer clients to us who may be newly
Mhm.
onboarding onto hospice and have expressed interest in learning more about the dying process. Hospice takes care of talking about that as well, but we can sit and do some more conversation and doing some planning if it's needed.
Okay. Do you guys do you do any hands-on care or do you offer like any spiritual healing, any kind of alternative therapies?
Well, there's so many different things that end of life doulas can do, and a lot of
Mhm.
us specialize. So there are many end of life doulas that specialize in Reiki care, in
Okay. Cool.
meditations, in proper massage techniques.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so that's the beauty of searching out for end of life doulas and just finding what their specialty
Mhm.
is, what they can help you with. Some of them specialize just in after death care, doing that home-based
Mhm.
death care. So just
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, so it's very niche. So how much time, like on average per case, is there any amount, just how much or how little time the family needs to feel supported?
So typically, obviously, same with you. Everyone
Mhm.
varies. Every case is very different, and we learn so much from each new case that we get. So it just depends when someone calls. Sometimes we get advanced planning. So they're not on hospice, they don't have a diagnosis, but
Mhm.
they've got a large family, maybe it's a blended family, and they just want to make sure that everything's clear for everybody in the
Mhm.
family. So we'll come in and we'll sit with them and create a written plan of care for them that they can have, that everyone in the family can read so that everybody's on the same page. They can ask their questions ahead of time, but be really clear as to what the individual wants. Other times we might get a phone call, someone saying, my loved one is on hospice now, and the hospice nurse told me that there's very little time left. What do I do? And so there we jump in totally differently. We're
Mhm.
not necessarily going
Mhm.
to do an end of life plan of care, but we're going to talk with them over the phone, find out what their thoughts are, what they do and don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe they don't know their rights that they can keep their loved one at home.
Mhm.
So we explain their choices. We don't force anything on anyone. I
Mhm.
love to just educate people about things they have not heard before.
Mhm.
This idea of what do you mean you can have a body in your home for 3 days? So
Yeah.
by choices, we never push anything or press anything. We're here just for education.
Mhm. Perfect. Yeah. I remember when my grandpa passed, we had him because people were flying in from out of town and just different things. And so I think he was there. I think in our state, the max is like 3 days. So we kept him there the whole 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, in California, it doesn't have a maximum.
Wow.
it just says a reasonable time.
Hmm. However long that takes. Okay. Do you work at all with funeral homes?
We do. We're in touch with funeral homes because no matter what we do, if there's usually always a funeral mortuary involved in like transportation. Some people do it all themselves. They do their own transportation to the cemetery and don't get a mortuary involved. But we definitely have ones that we can rely on to understand what the process is, that we're not asking you to come get the body right away. Maybe they're going to take 2.5 days and they'd like to set up a date for you to come. So
Mhm.
definitely in touch with them. They know who we are. We get referrals
Mhm.
from them as well.
Yeah, that's good. I love like networking because I know sometimes I'll call the funeral homes and they're like, "Oh, it's you." Okay. Yeah, we get to know each other well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what kind of certifications or trainings do you need to become a death doula?
Well, there's no certification that's required at this time, but
Okay.
plenty of training courses out there that you can attend in person or Zoom. There's some organizations that offer some testing at the end of their
Mhm.
program. I think there's a couple of organizations that are associated with an educational entity, maybe with a university. And so they might have a
Mhm.
type of certification of completion program. But the trainings that I've attended are mostly you do receive a document that says you've completed the course.
Okay, cool. Do you teach any yourself?
I've done some courses. Yeah, mostly educating people about how to if they're intending to become an end of life doula, not necessarily it could be anybody that just wants education, but
Mhm.
just educating on how to write a plan of care and doing a kind of a mock program of having a mock home funeral. So we'd set up a massage table. We
Mhm.
do all the, we have roles to do. We're imitating, shrouding the body, doing ceremony, singing, putting
Mhm.
flowers around, things like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, so kind of like also an event planner in a way. I love all those alternative. I helped somebody place her mother in a shroud that she had made for her, and I thought it was just so special, and I loved that. That was the
Yeah.
first time I'd seen it, and that was a few years ago, but it was
Well,
wonderful.
it's becoming more, people are learning more about that and really loving
Mhm.
that process because it becomes
Mhm.
an opportunity for the people who are gathering to actually participate in that shrouding. You can even use a bed sheet to wrap the body and shroud and do ceremony and maybe anointing if that's something that you do. And just having that sensation of touch again, of doing something rather than just being on the sidelines and watching. Actually doing is very beneficial for the heart and soul. And you lock in these really sacred memories of the experience rather than, we've heard people in the past who've had a kind of a negative experience, maybe in the younger life, maybe when they were a kid, and just have kind of this fear about death, fear about talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's kind of why I started this podcast. I've seen that the word hospice is getting less stigmatized, as the years go on, and we're talking about death a little more. But I remember when my older daughter was a baby, and we were in the pediatrics office, and she's like, "Oh, spider! There was a dead spider under the table," and the doctor was like, "Oh, it's just sleeping." Like, this is weird. Like, you're a doctor, and yeah, it's a but like that would have been a perfect opportunity to do some teaching. But yeah, like it was so strange, and so I went on to my parents both. Well, my grandparents both passed away, two of them on my mom's side, in my parents' houses with hospice support. I had an uncle who died in my grandparents' house on hospice support. So I was raised with this is what you do. You take care of your loved ones in your home,
So it
and
was
then they
normal
pass
for
away
you.
there. So that was
Yeah.
normal for me. Yeah. And I liked I liked that, and I felt like that was the kind of nursing I can actually do something. I've been in other areas of nursing where I don't feel like I'm helping anybody or doing a darn thing. And so I do, even though, you're not saving them, but I do feel like I can provide comfort, even if it's just my like calming presence, like something little like that makes a big difference, I've noticed.
Absolutely.
families are like, thank you. And I'm like, I don't feel like I did anything, but I'm here.
It's so appreciative because often
Hmm.
they're, families or loved ones who are there are faced with, you know, the nurses have time schedules. They don't have a whole lot of time, you know, and I think
Hmm.
hospice nursing, you guys have a little more time because that's what
Hmm.
I've experienced when I've worked with nurses that they spend more time, but they do have to get on to the next appointment.
Hmm. Yeah, whereas a death doula, that's your only assignment in that moment, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's lovely. I know, I like that about it. I really didn't like being in a kind of nursing where I had to rush off to the next person, and I don't have that feeling too often. My company doesn't put any pressure on us to rush visits or put a time limit on them or anything. So, I do feel comfortable sitting most of the time. Sometimes it gets hectic, but most of the time I feel comfortable in sitting with the families until, you know, they feel like they can breathe again. Hmm.
Nice. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. Let's see. So, okay. What kind of, I'm sure everything varies, but for us, for hospice, we're billed through insurance. So I'm wondering what kind of clients you guys see a lot of. Is there a type? Is there a cultural or not preference, but is it like a cultural pattern that you see among your clients?
Well, most of them, we don't get too many of them younger than their 50s because if they're coming to us, they've probably had some other exposure and
Mhm.
and so they're coming to us for something different and to learn information. So
Mhm.
most everyone have grown children and maybe they're thinking of what they need to do to get their things in order, their requested
Mhm.
documents in order, thinking of that. And like I say, sometimes we'll get just a last minute phone call of someone. One
Mhm.
time we had a call from a woman who called me and she said, I had been meaning to call you for quite some time about my father,
Mhm.
but he just died. And I'm wondering if you can come out and help us. So that
Mm.
was truly a last minute
Yeah.
request. And fortunately,
Yeah.
I was with one of my partners at the time that I got the call. We were finishing up with another client. And so we were able to head over there to meet them at their house at about 8 o'clock at night. It was dark, it was in a rural area.
Mhm.
So happy to be able to come out there and and to help give them some ideas of what they could do from here.
Yeah, I'll bet. That so you guys travel far and wide, regardless of weather, regardless of time, right? like
Yeah,
like
we try to. But that's a nice thing about having a team like we have. If someone's out of town or has another commitment, there's usually someone we can find on the team who is available to go out and meet someone.
Mhm.
If it's
Mhm.
really urgent, we can usually find someone.
Mhm.
But it's always good to be able to plan a little bit ahead.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. So what percentage of your clients would you say you do support post-mortem?
The like home-based death care, after death care, that kind of.
Right.
I'm not sure about a percentage. Really not sure about a percentage. Probably less than
Mhm.
50%.
Oh
Uh,
wow. Okay.
those clients are just wanting to get their affairs in order and get things
Mhm.
documented. Some of them
Mhm.
are just not interested in staying at home. We try to encourage, well,
Mhm.
as long as you've died at home, just you should at least know. You need to contact hospice to let them know you've had that the death has occurred, but you don't have to rush to call the mortuary. You can take
Mhm.
some time to just, call other family members, see if they want to come over, you know, in just a few hours, keeping the body at home, and even a small amount of time at home can make a big difference, can kind of change the way you feel in your
Mhm.
body, that this release is actually what was called for in this situation. And uh,
Mhm.
yeah, so it's different with every case. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I definitely had a different vision of death duel. I just figured, you would go run to every death and support the family through that and do rituals. But it's more like pre-planning almost, it sounds like.
Both. It's both.
Yeah.
It's both
Okay.
of those. We do rush out and we help people. We had a member on our team who had a sudden death, unexpected death, and so we all rushed out there and
Hmm.
and started, and we had to, figure out who you're supposed to call and all of that beginning stuff, all of those things that are kind of a rush that haven't been planned.
Oh
So,
my gosh.
so
Yeah.
yes, we definitely do run out if we're needed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's see. So, and how long have you been doing this work?
Um, let's see. Well, our organization was established in 2013. Prior to that, I was a hospice volunteer for a couple of
Hmm.
years,
Hmm.
and then I took a training course that I thought would help me with hospice, because I
Hmm.
was
Hmm.
really liking my hospice volunteer work.
Yeah.
And I saw this advertisement for a training course about
Hmm.
death. And so I signed up for it. And so I went out. It was a retreat for several days. It sounded interesting. I'll learn a lot.
Hmm.
And what I didn't know was or I guess I just didn't read the fine print, that the session was actually about home funerals. And I guess I just didn't get that in my mind. So I had no idea at that time that you could keep a body at home and have a home funeral. So
Yeah.
experience
Yeah.
just opened my eyes to something I had never heard of before. And
Hmm.
there were two other women who showed up to that event that were also from where I lived. We had traveled some miles to get there. We didn't know each other, but we were in the same county. And
Hmm.
once we met each other, we all three decided, well, we need to bring this information back to our people at home.
Hmm.
So that's what we did. And we just started having like death conversations, death cafes in the beginning.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'll bet that was such a revelation for you to find that information out.
Well, it was like exciting. The three of us were
Yeah.
like, we have to bring this information back. This can't
Yeah.
be a secret anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's similar to births. Like there was a big almost medical revolution, and so people were dying and giving birth at home previously. I researched it a little bit. It was like I think the late 1800s, early 1900s when the hospital boom happened, and then everybody started giving birth and dying there, and that became like the new norm. And we're slowly trickling back into, being at home for those extremely sacred events. They should be at home, I think. And I mean, they should be where the person feels comfortable. But like your home is where you've lived. It just seems so much more comfortable of a place to die. Yeah. I love that you do that. And okay, so do you, I'm trying to figure out, so are you a doula and the founder of the Full Circle Living and Dying, or your doula through and for that foundation?
I'm the founding director. There were three
Mhm.
founders in the beginning, so co-founder. The three in the
Mhm.
beginning were myself and the two other women that I met in that training course. And so,
Oh my God.
yeah, so we're the founding director, the original founding directors back in 2013, and we had our first death cafe in the
Mhm.
fall of
Mhm.
2013. And
Cool.
so the other two are doing their own work, no longer involved with Full Circle.
Mhm.
So I'm the I'm the one there, and I'm surrounded by an amazing
Yes.
team and board of directors, and
Mhm.
it's all working out really well. We became
Oh
a
my
nonprofit
God.
in 2018. So originally we were just kind of a grassroots organization, but then 2018
Mhm.
became a nonprofit.
Okay, and so how does the nonprofit part benefit the clients?
Um, I I don't know if there's necessarily a benefit. They
Mhm.
can absolutely get fine work from independent doulas that are not a part of any
Mhm.
organization, or sometimes there's collectives out there. I've seen some doula collectives where there's a group of them that
Mhm.
in areas like East Bay or different areas of California, and they have teams going. Um,
Yeah. Okay. So what can do are there resources? So doulas are mostly private pay, but are there any resources to help if they need that kind of support and can't pay for it?
Well, in our organization, we don't turn anyone away for lack of funds. So
Mm-hmm.
we
Okay. Yeah, okay, there's the benefit. That's wonderful. Well, and you're all volunteers.
right. So we do charge a fee to do a plan of care, and that's a sliding scale fee.
Mhm.
And we that goes to the nonprofit. All of that goes to the nonprofit. And then if they opt to do and ask for doulas to be there for after death care, post death care in the home,
Mhm.
we also have a sliding scale for that as
Mhm.
well.
Oh my gosh, that's
Um,
so generous. What an amazing service you've done.
well, it's been great to be
Sounds
able to
like
do
it.
that out for people. Yeah.
Yes. And so you service like the Chico area, is that right?
Chico is where I live, but our
Oh.
organization is based out of Nevada County, which is Grass Valley, Nevada City. That's where we're
Okay.
based. We share office space with another nonprofit there called One Source Empowering Caregivers. We share space there with them.
Okay. Cool. Hmm. How do you take care of yourself? A lot of people are, concerned because we deal with a lot of death and dying, and some people can say that is depressing. So what do you do for yourself?
Well, you know, it's different for everyone. So for me personally, in the beginning when I was doing this work, happy to do this work, so enthused, working with
Mhm.
other doulas. I've always worked with other doulas, never on my own. And in the beginning when we would be doing this work and helping people through the dying process and after death care in the home, I would feel a lot of like, it's such a heartfelt
Mhm.
practice that you can't help but feel emotions.
Mhm.
And in the beginning, when we're helping families, I mean, we can see how much they're appreciating this work of taking care of their loved one at home before going to burial or cremation. That we know how special and magical this work is. But in the early days, I would find out, at the end when we're done and a family's loved one is, being taken to the mortuary, there's this release and relief, and there's
Mhm.
actually some joy that we feel.
Yeah.
We feel that joy that we've served properly here.
Mhm.
This is what the
Mhm.
dying person, the dead person would have wanted,
Mhm.
and that the family felt complete or
Mhm.
just at least in the moment. Grief comes later. But
Yeah.
what I observed is that, and I talked with other doulas about this, we'd feel kind of like this joy and euphoria for a couple of days. And then after a couple of days, there'd be this drop off, like this grief. At the time, I wasn't recognizing it as grief, but there was just this, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, this
Mhm.
feeling inside, this grief inside. And so, what I began to learn over the years from others that were helping is to really take a moment or take some moments to really process what you've been through, to really visualize,
Mhm.
talk with doulas. Great to have conversation with other doulas and continue those conversations as you're going through that. And so over the years, as I've done this work, I've kind of not had that deep feeling. I used to even wait for it. I go, okay, it's been 3 days since this last one. I know I'm going to kind of dip down a little bit here. And
Mhm.
it got less over time. Fortunately, we have our team to talk with. So if there's ever
Mhm.
any concerns or did I do everything right, we have someone to talk to and mentoring happens and
Mhm.
and self-care is definitely just recognizing that this work is very sacred and it
Mhm.
be draining and you need to take care of yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, that debriefing is super important, even though I mean we have that once a week and it's optional, but I mean every nurse goes to it and just talks about the cases that hit them hard,
Yeah, that's
because it's an
exactly what we
emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do is debriefing after everyone. And even in our board meetings, we debrief each client we have so that the whole organization, the whole board anyway, the board of directors are all aware of the cases and how they've completed. And we're always sharing stories. We're always learning from everyone we help. They teach us. They're definitely
Mhm.
teachers for us, and we get a lot of learning. So debriefing is really important. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. Can you are you able to share like one or some of the most meaningful experiences you've had doing this line of work? Something that's impacted you the most?
Um, there's so many different cases that we've had, and there's different types of impact.
Yeah.
I guess what I think about is I thought about this a little bit, and early on there we had an interesting case of a woman who was single. She didn't have any she didn't have any family close by, just one son that wasn't nearby.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
she went when she became on hospice, she contacted us to to create a plan of care and to help during her process. So she was still, when she was on hospice in the beginning,
Mhm.
she was still planning and, taking care of
Mhm.
herself, doing meals and things like that.
Mhm.
So we helped assist her in creating her plan of care. She eventually needed to have caregivers come in. So
Mhm.
caregivers came in and helped take care of her. She she eventually, when she got closer and closer and hospice was indicating things are getting closer, she did have some women friends who came, and this was such a beautiful thing. The women friends came and really took care of her, laid in bed with her, sat at bedside, told stories, laughed. I mean, this was something that was a great experience for me to learn how important it is to have visitors and friends and loved ones around you, and how important it was
Mhm.
for them to be a part of her at this end of life.
Mhm.
We had she had a really good hospice nurse too, who was amazing and learned a lot from her during that time. She got close to death when she died. We were able to come out, and we and some of her friends did do the washing ceremony for her. That's what she
Mhm.
wanted. And we were able to do the washing ceremony, and she wanted to lie in her home for 3 days at home. Her son was unsure of being comfortable with the idea of her mom's body. Uh,
Mhm.
so he wasn't coming to visit. We had encouraged him to come, but he was
Mhm.
having a hard time deciding if he was going to do that.
Mhm.
And in the meantime, over the 3 days, we invited people to come in. She wanted visitors to come in, friends and neighbors to come in, so they came. Um,
Mhm.
and we had a cardboard casket. She was planning on cremation. And so we had a cardboard casket. And when people came, we had supplies and they decorated the cardboard casket, knowing that she was going to be the casket. They were able to go into the other
Yeah.
room and visit her, sit with her, talking to the one who's departed is like good self-care, but also I believe it's just beneficial for the energy in the room. And then
Yeah.
and then on the last day, her son actually showed up. He actually came. And we were
Oh, he
all
did.
it was such a relief for us as doulas. We just knew that if he could just come and just kind of be there at the house. We said,
Mhm.
"You don't have to go in the room, just come and be there, see what we're doing, look at this casket."
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and so he came and he was, walking around her house a little bit, and then he went down the hallway, opened the door, and went into her room and sat with her and was with her, something that we hadn't expected.
Mhm.
He did not want to see her, but
Mhm.
because this 3-day period was long enough, I guess, for him to ponder and think about it. It was fortunate that it what did last 3 days because he came on the last
Yeah.
day. Yeah,
Amazing. Oh,
yeah, yeah, it's
he
amazing.
probably was glad he went.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So what's the significance of the cardboard casket? Just so, tell me about it.
Yeah, so there's options for mortuaries. You can buy the wooden caskets. All kinds of caskets are available, but if you don't want to put that financial money out there for that, cardboard caskets are something that mortuaries usually provide. You can even order them online, I think. But the nice
Yeah.
thing, the nice thing about them is you can decorate them. You can do artwork, and
Yeah.
so that just gives an opportunity for people to gather and talk and share experiences that they've had with this person who has died and decorate the casket. And then when the time comes for the mortuary to come, what we did is we shrouded her with a bed sheet and carried her. And it was a group of us that were there, not just the doulas. There were friends that were there. And we lifted her and put her into the cardboard casket. And then the mortuary came and they knew we were doing this. They approved of
Mhm.
us. We actually lifted the casket up and
Mhm.
carried it outside. And at
Yeah.
that particular time she was leaving, little snowflakes were coming down, which is kind of rare to have in Grass Valley, but snowflakes were
Uh-huh.
coming down. And the interesting thing is she was an avid skier.
Yeah.
She was always in the mountains in the winter. And so for this snow to come down as she's walking out, we were all just kind of, yeah, we just kind of got giddy after that. We were just like, oh,
Yeah.
look at this. This is
So cool. Like she approved of what you were doing.
absolutely, I mean, the
Wonderful.
universe responded, with a snowy day. Yeah.
I love that. Yes. I remember the morning our grandpa died. Same thing. He was skiing until he couldn't walk, basically. And the morning that he passed away, a huge snowstorm hit, the first one of the season. And we're just like, oh, of course. you know, I
Yeah.
love that.
I know. I love those things. They just kind of lead you to think that there's really more going out there in our atmosphere, in our world, in the beyond. You know.
Yeah. Well, that is how I like to end my podcast actually by asking, what your beliefs in the afterlife are, and do you believe in messages from the universe or people who have passed on?
Well, I was raised by my father, who is an atheist, so I really didn't have any spiritual or religious upbringing at all.
Mhm.
Which, as a kid, I kind of resented because everybody else knew these Bible stories. I didn't know any Bible stories, and I felt kind
Mhm.
of left out, and I was kind of resentful.
Mhm.
But later on, I
Mhm.
realized that what this kind of forced me to do was really just develop my own belief system, like tune into my own feelings. What feels like spirit to me?
Yeah.
What is God, and or is there? So I explored that in a bit,
Mhm.
in a way over the years, did some readings. I'm a yoga teacher, so I have kind of a
Mhm.
spiritual
Mhm.
practice. Um,
Yeah.
but I've always been a skeptic as well. Probably got that from my dad, kind of a skeptic and not always just believing things that I've heard,
Mhm.
once or something. I really
Yeah.
have to. didn't understand it. And
Hmm.
so it does make me pay attention when something out of the ordinary happens.
Hmm.
I feel into
Yeah.
my body what's feeling. And one example of this is early on when I was doing hospice volunteer work, I was sitting with clients. So this hospice had a no one dies alone policy where
Oh.
if they're dying and they don't have anybody around, then this hospice team of volunteers will come and just sit, while the person is in the stages of their dying.
Wonderful. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Oh.
this one experience I had, I was going to sit with a woman, and when I got there, there were like, I think there were two or three daughters there, and they were
Mhm.
just getting ready to leave, and mom had just fallen asleep, and they were kind of whispering and, saying they had a good day with her. They were talking with her.
Mhm.
And so they dimmed the lights, and so I was sitting with her in kind of this dim atmosphere, and she was sleeping. And eventually she started talking. I thought maybe she was sleep talking or something, talking in her sleep. And
Mhm.
she started saying, "Oh, Mary, oh, Mary, oh, you have the baby." And just talking, just kind of talking.
Yeah.
But she was asleep. And so finally, after some great detail of talking, like she started talking as if there were others people there or
Hmm.
so I just thought I'd ask her, if she's awake or something. I said her name. And by the way, I had introduced her, even though she was sleeping, I had
Hmm.
myself to her. We're supposed to do that.
Yeah, of course. I always do that and explain
Yeah.
what's going on.
Right. And so she started as if she were talking to others in the room. And I said to her, are there other people here with you? And she said, "Oh, yes, yes, they're all here. They're all here."
Oh,
And
yes.
I said, "Wow, that's really amazing. Where are they?" And she goes, "Everywhere, everywhere." And I asked her a few other questions, and she kept answering my questions, but she seemed to be sleeping. Her eyes were just closed, but she was answering my questions. And finally I said, "Well, how many people are here?" And she goes, "One, two, three, four." And she counted 11 people in
Oh
the
my
room.
gosh. She counted them.
And when she was counting, I got this rush of energy as if, as if there's some entities here.
Yeah, that's amazing. I see that a lot. People, when they're dying, see people. And I don't see them. Maybe somebody else does. I don't see the people that they see, but I never dismiss it. I'm like, that's your welcome committee. Yeah.
Exactly. It
And
pretty much
it's
convinced me. It
so,
pretty much changed me
yeah.
because I'm already sort of in that space where I believe that ancestors may come and help
Mhm.
you cross over just because you've heard so many
Mhm.
stories like that. And so for me to
Mhm.
sit and hear her just experiencing that and just like feeling the energy in the room, that was pretty amazing for me. Amazing experience.
It's,
Added to my beliefs. Yeah.
wow. How long after that did she pass away?
I think it was a couple days. It was a couple days.
Hmm. Hmm. That is
Yeah.
so amazing. And it's so consistent.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I have learned so much from you in this last hour. And I really
It's been a
appreciate it. And
pleasure
it's
talking.
amazing work that you do.
Thank
I
you. It's
love
been a pleasure talking
it.
to you. This is a great.
Yeah,
I always love to have conversations. I can talk for hours and so about
I can listen for hours. I love the work you're doing. I appreciate it.
yeah, pretty
Yeah,
amazing.
well, so what's your website? Where can people find you if they're curious about
Yeah, it's
your
kind of it's a long like
services?
name
Full
on the
circle living
website.
thing.
So maybe you
Hmm.
can put it in the show notes or something, but it's full
I will.
circle. It's full circle living dying collective.com. Full
Okay.
Circle Living Dying Collective.com.
Wonderful. Thank you. And what if they're outside of your region? Do you have any resources, any favorite websites or books or anything that
They need to
you
go to
can?
my website. No, they need to go to my
Okay,
website.
perfect.
That's
Yeah,
be sure
it's
to go
all
to my
there.
website. I have lots of information on the website. I've been building it since
Excellent.
2013, and I've got a lot of people respond back and say it's a really good resource. It's a lot of stuff on
Okay.
there, so sometimes it's hard to find. I do have a little search button in there. But yeah, check out the website, and there's plenty of links to other resources. Some of them are just local for our area, but there's a lot of general information as well that can get people
Mhm.
started with maybe asking questions of doulas in their own area where they live.
Mhm. Mhm. Perfect. Yes, thank you. Okay. I will put your link in the show notes, and I appreciate your time so very much. I
Well, thank you
appreciate
for
talking to
having
you.
me. Yeah, this has been
Yeah.
really fun.
Good.
So thanks for inviting me. And I really appreciate the work that you're doing and continued success with your podcast here.
Thank you. Hey, thanks for listening. Before you go, if you'd like more episodes, behind the scenes updates, and a growing library of comforting resources, please join me at patreon.com/deathismylife. Your support helps this podcast grow and reach more people who need it. And if this episode resonated with you, please share the podcast with someone who might find comfort in it too. I'll see you there. This episode is brought to you by Havern Cabinetry and Design, a family business built on more than 50 years of master craftsmanship. Since 1972, owner Rick Havern has delivered immaculate, custom-built cabinetry and countertops for projects of every scale, from luxury homes to hotels, hospitals, and retail environments. Whether you're renovating a home or outfitting an entire building, their work will exceed your expectations. Learn more or request a quote at haverncabinetry.com. Link in the show notes.